Welcome, everybody. The college football season is just over a month away, and it's never too early to start looking ahead. I'm Joe with the Game House, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 25 teams heading into the college football season. Okay, as mentioned, we're going over the top 25 teams for me heading into the college football season for the 2023 year. So, a lot of changes this year in the college football world. We have a lot of transfers, probably more than ever. Some impact guys at different places. We have some of the top teams with a lot of question marks to answer. It should be a very, very fun college football season when you add in the fact that we have the last year of Texas and Oklahoma in the Big 12, one of the last years for USC and UCLA in the Pac-12, and just a whole lot of new teams who could make their way to the college football playoff talk this year. So, let's get it started with 25 through 21. At 25, we're going to put the Wisconsin Badgers. We have Luke Fickell, returns 11 starters, brings in some transfers, including his center, Jake Renfro from Cincinnati. They're going to be leaning on Braylon Allen offensively, and I think that's going to be somewhat similar to Wisconsin fans, but the offense will change a little bit under Luke Fickell, so we'll see how that comes to fruition. And Fickell is a defensive coach, which that part of things fits in with Wisconsin mold. The Big Ten divisions will probably change in the future, but for now, Wisconsin could probably battle for that Big Ten West. So we have them at 25. The UTSA Roadrunners at 24. They've been good over the last several years. Frank Harris is back at quarterback. They got some NIL money back for him, to come back and lead that offense as one of the best in the country. They did lose Zachary Franklin, who ended up transferring to Ole Miss kind of at the last minute this summer. But they still have plenty of talent receiver, and this offense should keep them humming. With the exodus of teams from the AAC to the Big 12, there is sort of this vacuum where there's UTSA's coming in from the CUSA, and they could compete year one with Frank Harris. The year after that, we'll see if they can keep that up. Jeff Traylor's done a good job, but they can sneak into the top 25 at 24. 23, South Carolina. This is largely dependent on which Spencer Rattler shows up. If he plays like he did early last season, they will not be ranked. If he plays like he did at the end of last season, they could be pretty good. They ended up beating Tennessee. They beat Clemson at the end of last year. They returned just 8 total starters, but they hit the transfer portal hard. They brought in a guy like Trey Knox, the tight end, to really help in that position and help give Spencer Rattler another weapon. But if Rattler plays like he did in 2020 at Oklahoma and this past year, late in the year, they could be a ranked team. If not, we'll be looking at a different team. Number 22, the Kentucky Wildcats. Model of consistency the last several years. They've had some 10-win seasons mixed in there, but mostly staying at 7-5, 8 wins seasons. They could do that again. This should be like an 8, maybe 9-win. Maybe they could push for 9 wins, but at least maybe an 8-win team. Kentucky brought back Liam Cohen as the offensive coordinator. They got NC State transfer Devin Leary, who, when healthy, has been a good quarterback. Did have some rough games at the start of last year before he got injured, but if he plays like he did in 2021, he's a very good quarterback. They fixed their offensive line. Their defense is always ready to play. It's just kind of that offense, whether they can keep up with other SEC teams. With Devin Leary, maybe they can do that. They should be able to keep their bowl streak alive this year if everything goes according to plan. 21, North Carolina. So, North Carolina has Drake May coming back. That's the big thing here. In the running to be the number 1 overall pick next year. I think everyone probably rightfully says Caleb Williams is the front runner right now and probably will be. But Drake May had a very good first season as a starter last year, taking over Sam Howell. The problem this year is kind of the same problem as last year. How good is that defense going to be? How good is the ACC going to be? And what can they do with this? So if they improve the defense and Drake May can do what he did last year, there's no reason why they can't be ranked and maybe even finish higher than this in this list. All right, number 20, Arkansas Razorbacks. We have the KJ Jefferson coming back. He was injured last year and battled through injury, and that really kind of hurt them last year when he was down with injury. And they also have Rocket Sanders, one of the best running backs in the college game, coming back. And the defense lost some key talent, but they weren't really good anyway. So I'm really counting on KJ Jefferson to take this team, which won 7 games last year, to him being healthy really lead them to 8-9 wins here. I think it's possible. I would say the defense does need to take a huge step forward, though. Number 19, Ole Miss. They started off last year really hot and kind of faded down the stretch. Lane Kiffin returns 14 starters, though, this year. Plenty of senior leadership. Quinshawn Judkins, the running back, was a star last year. He's back. Jackson Darts at quarterback. They've gotten 2 other transfer quarterbacks if he doesn't work out, so someone will work out. The offense will be rolling. I think the defense does have some questions, but they returned 7 starters. They specifically lost some transfers from that secondary, so we'll see if they can hold up on the back end. Number 18, the Oregon State Beavers. They needed a better quarterback this offseason. They went and got DJ Uiagalelei from Clemson. We'll see if that can pan out. Their defense returns 7. Their offense returns 7 starters. The defense returns 5 starters. I think they could have a pretty solid season in the Pac-12. The TCU Horned Frogs. Plenty of guys left for the pros. It's not to be unexpected from a team who made the playoffs. 3 starters on offense, but Sonny Dykes hit the transfer portal hard. He got some Alabama transfers. And the defense returned 7 starters with some key players, too. So it'll be interesting to see how they look in the last year of this Big 12 look that they have with Texas and Oklahoma leaving and these new teams coming in. Kansas State is number 16. They have some skill position players who left, but they have a really good offensive line coming back. They have Will Howard back at quarterback. Defensively, they lost some key players, but I do think they can patch things together and be a solid team in the Big 12 and compete for a Big 12 title again. 15, we have the Oregon Ducks. Bo Nix last year came out of nowhere. We saw the good of Bo Nix, the bad of Bo Nix at Auburn. He goes to Oregon and really fixes the things. He has 5 other starters coming back on the offensive side of the ball. He'll need players on the interior of the line to step up, I think mostly. And then there's just a lot of inexperience on the offensive line in general. And the defense has some departures in the NFL, but they hit the transfer portal hard. They got Jordan Birch. They got Alabama transfer Kyrie Jackson at corner. So they have the potential to win this Pac-12. It'll be tough with some of the teams we have listed, but Pac-12 should have a pretty good year coming up. The Utah Utes, Pac-12 champions last year, made the Rose Bowl. Cam Rising's back for another year. 11 other returning starters, kind of spread out through the depth chart there, so they have a lot of talent returning on a lot of different positions. Their offense ranked 11th last year. They did lose Tavion Thomas, but I think they should be able to figure it out. And then the defense ranked 26th, lost some key players. Like my guy Clark Phillips, who got drafted. But I do think they could push for a playoff spot. They just continually stay at the top of the Pac-12, stay in the mix, and then sometimes they get the job done by going to the Rose Bowl the last couple of years, and I think they might be able to do that again. Number 13, the Texas Longhorns. Try not to get too hyped about this Texas team because we always have the memes about Texas being back. But they won 8 games in 2022, brings 15 starters back. Quinn Ewers looked good when he was healthy last year. One of the best wide receiver rooms in the country was Xavier Worthy, Isaiah Nair, if healthy, A.D. Mitchell, Jatavian Sanders, a tight end. And I think they have some experienced offensive linemen back, so that should be pretty good. And then I think the defense can improve as well. So if they do that, they should be picked to win the Big 12. I think a lot of people have picked them to win the Big 12. Talent-wise, they should win the Big 12. With Texas, you just never know, though. Tennessee, number 12. Hendon Hooker is now in the pros. But they have Joe Milton, who looked good in the bowl game and in relief of Hendon Hooker when he got hurt. I think he has some things to clean up, like his accuracy and decision-making. But I do think he's a solid quarterback. Great arm strength, great athlete. Some people have kind of said he'll be like Anthony Richardson this year. And you can see the athleticism and the arm strength that make you think that. They have 14 returning starters, a lot of talent on that team. I think SEC East-wise, they're the team behind Georgia, and then after that, you got South Carolina, Kentucky, who were kind of fighting after that. Washington. Michael Penix came back for a 6th year of eligibility. Former Indiana transfer, really stepped up his game last year, helped the Huskies get 11 wins. 14 total starters returning. I think they have a pretty good offensive line. They got Rome Odunze coming back at wide receiver. The defense has good pass rushers. This is a team where if they get matched up against USC in maybe the Pac-12 championship, they do play in the regular season too, they could knock off USC because they have the offense to do it, and they have those pass rushers that if they step up, could make things a little bit difficult for Caleb Williams and the Trojans. Number 10, Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Started off last season horribly, but finished 9-4. Their biggest weakness last year was the quarterback position. Maybe more so the passing offense. I think Drew Pine had his moments. Tyler Buckner, when healthy, had his moments. He's now with Alabama, though, and Drew Pine is with Arizona State. Sam Hartman, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the country, one of the most productive quarterbacks in the country, comes in. 15 starters returning on this team. An experienced offensive line. I think the defense will get better with Marcus Freeman coming back with some impact players, especially in the secondary, with Benjamin Morrison and Cam Hart. I think this team can be pretty good. Tough schedule, though. We'll see if they finish out strong and maybe finish again at like 9-3. The Clemson Tigers are in at 9. They've had some down years, but they still win double-digit games every year. Dabo's built a system where they can at least be that good every year, and that deserves a lot of credit. DJ Uiagalelei is gone. Cade Klubnik is in, a very talented recruit who showed some real flashes in his limited playing time last season. 7 other returning starters on the offense, including Will Shipley at running back, should really help. And then their defense, it should be really, really good. It's a talented defensive line, one of the best linebacker rooms in the country, with Jeremiah Trotter leading the way. Secondary, some question marks, but there is some talent back there as well. They will need to win some tough games, including against one of the teams ranked higher than them here. But Clemson still has a really good shot to be in the playoff, given the state of the ACC, but also because these are down years and they're still winning at least 10 games. Penn State comes in at number 8, won 11 games last season. They returned 13 starters. I'd like to mention Nick Singleton at running back, left tackle Olu Fashanu. That's really, really good for that offense. Both those guys, one playmaker, one guy up front. Olu Fashanu might be the first tackle taken in the draft next year. Nick Singleton, not eligible, but in the future years could be a really high pick. And then they also have defensive end Chop Robinson, who just declared the other day that he thinks he's the best pass rusher in the country. He's going to get a chance to prove it this year, so we'll see what he does. Just transferred in, as I mentioned, from Maryland. But a lot of this rides on the shoulders of sophomore Drew Allard, the quarterback who got limited playing time last year behind Sean Clifford. Lots of expectation for him. If he comes through, this team can be really, really good. If he doesn't, maybe they only win 8-9 games. And that's just not exactly where I think people had envisioned them finishing. Number 7, LSU Tigers. Brian Kelly really did a good job last year. Bring back 11 total starters. Jaden Daniels, the quarterback, is one of the most important ones. Was a little bit erratic at first last year, but did settle down. And I think they've hit the transfer portal hard. We'll see if some of these guys work out and can fix together. I like Omar Space, their linebacker they got from Oregon State. Harold Perkins will be one of the most exciting players in football, and will be rushing that passer. We know that much. Number 6, the Florida State Seminoles. They won 10 games last year. They kind of had a rough stretch in the middle of the year where they lost 3 straight. They need to get over the hump of beating Clemson. But they do return 14 starters. They bring back Jordan Travis at quarterback, Johnny Wilson at wide receiver, Trey Benson at running back. And they brought back a lot of that defense. So I do think there's a chance that Florida State wins this ACC and gets back on track after Mike Norvell had a very good season last year. All right, number 5, and just outside of the CFP top 4, the USC Trojans. After being a Pac-12 championship away last year, they are right there again this year at number 5. They could redeem themselves. Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year. We know about his talent. They have a lot of talent around them. Hit the transfer portal for Marshawn Lloyd at running back. They have wide receivers, including Dorian Singer from Arizona. The defense hit the transfer portal as well. They got Bear Alexander from Georgia. A lot of people aren't happy about that because of the timing and maybe the NIL money. But if that defense improves, they can make the playoff. Their defense was a big reason why they didn't make it last year. They need to improve the defense. If the defense improves, they make it. If they don't, they just don't. That's just how it's going to work out. Alabama at number 4. There's a lot of question marks around this Alabama team, but they still have Nick Saban. They returned just 9 starters, but they do have Jalen Milroe, a quarterback, who did get some experience last year filling in for the injured Bryce Young. If he doesn't work out, they do have Tyler Buckner, but I expect Milroe to play a little bit better. They're going to need wide receivers and running backs to step up. They do have a little bit of experience on the offensive line. On defense, they have Dallas Turner at the edge rusher position. They have Kool-Aid McKinstry at corner, so they have some talent there, but they need a lot of these gaps to be filled in by some of these recruits. Nothing they're not used to. Every couple of years, they kind of have to do this. Every year, they have to do it some regard, but every couple of years, they have some of these, the big exoduses from the programs from star players. They fill them in usually pretty good. So they will be in contention for the playoff. We'll see. Nick Saban will want to be getting back this year. Number 3, Ohio State. Bring back just 12 starters. But the big question will be quarterback position. Kyle McCord set to take over. He'll have his former high school teammate Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver, one of the best players in the country. He'll have Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams at running back, other talented wide receivers as well. And offensive line should be pretty solid. They do have to replace their 2 tackles, but we'll see how that goes. And then the defense just needs to show up bigger in big games. They have impact players. They have guys on the defensive line that are pretty good. They have Denzel Burke in the secondary. They've got hit the transfer portal to fix that. If they can just limit big plays in those big games, Ohio State will be much better. Michigan at number 2. 2 straight CFP appearances for the Wolverines. This year, they're going to have Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. Blake Corum coming back from that torn ACL. Donovan Edwards, I think he's the best running back in that backfield, most talented running back in that backfield. I think the stats kind of proved it when he got his chance, but he was injured at the start of last year. Blake Corum took over. Now they're together. We'll see if Blake Corum's not back for the start of the year. Jonathan Edwards will be ready, and they'll see what they can do. Defense, 7th in the country last year. They have Junior Colson at linebacker, which should be good for them. The key here is having J.J. McCarthy make more big-time throws. He played pretty solidly last year, and he has plenty of potential, plenty of talent, but they need to rely on him to make more throws. The running game, it'll be there against some of the lower-level teams, but it will not always be there against some of the better teams. Ask him to make big throws in those games. Let's see if he can make some of those big throws. That's what it's going to take to win in the college football playoff. All right, number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs. No surprise, back-to-back champions. It's going to be hard to three-peat, and honestly, I probably wouldn't be picking them at number 1 if some of these other teams had a little bit more coming back or had shown a little bit better last year in the playoff. But they've earned the right to be number 1 either way. 2 straight championships, 3 returning starters, 7 on defense, which is great for them because their defenses are always great. They have Brock Bowers on offense. They have a stacked everything on defense, but it's going to be about the quarterback position. Carson Beck, Brock Vandegrift, which one starts? Which one ends up being good? Can they get things down? Todd Monken's now in the NFL with the Ravens. Can the offense work? If the offense can be functional and even better than functional like it has the last 2 years, he'll be in the mix for the national championship again, or at least the college football playoff again. They also have an easier schedule for this season, which a lot of people have criticized, but I think that really puts them in a good shape to at least make the college football playoff, if not win it all again, before the SEC changes their schedule structure. So let me know what you think of the top 25 in the comments below. We have plenty of time before the college football season, so I'll be updating if anything major happens, just any of the top 25 teams. For now, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.